there, I'm Chris Sanagan.
And I'm Jason Lapidus.
And we are the creators of Group of Seven Comics.
And you're listening to True North Country Comics Podcast.
Welcome to the True North Country Comics Podcast, dedicated to promote Canadian comic book and graphic novel creators and supporters. I'm John Swinimer. If you want to drop me a line, you can contact me at john@truenorthcountrycomics.com. On this episode, I chat with Chris Sanagan and Jason Lapidus about Group of Seven Comics at the 2022 Montreal Comic Arts Festival. This podcast is available on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. It's also available on the True North Country Comics channel on YouTube. I invite you to like and subscribe. Based in Ontario, Chris is the writer and Jason is the illustrator for their current work, Group of Seven. The ongoing series is set in the First World War, in which Canadian physician John McCrae leads a secret mission underneath the ridge against a mysterious enemy with monstrous intentions. Group of Seven, A Most Secret Tale was nominated for Best Graphic Novel at the 2020 Sequential Magazine Awards. Chris and Jason also created Peregrines, featuring frontline nurses doing double duty as home front defenders as they fight in the shadows to protect Canada from threats unbelievable and unknown. And so, without further ado, here's my chat with Chris Sanagan and Jason Lapidus about Group of Seven Comics at the 2022 Montreal Comic Arts Festival. So Chris Sanagan and Jason Lapidus from Group of Seven, thank you very much for chatting with me.
Thanks for having us, John.
It's our pleasure, John.
Appreciate your time. Now, before I get to the nitty-gritty of all these questions, I want to find out, everyone wants to know, what's on your bedside reading table? What are you reading today? Chris, I'll ask you first.
Oh, sure. I'm reading a number of things, but comics-wise, deep into the Reckless series by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. And the latest volume came out about a couple weeks back. So to me, that's what's going on. That's the thing that's been taking up most of my time, comics-wise and focus-wise, in terms of reading on my bedside table.
Nice. How about you, Jason? What are you reading these days?
Same as Chris in that there's always several books on the go. I was looking at Graphic Inc., the DC collection of Darwin Cook.
Oh, yeah.
Art,
I've got that here. Yeah, really nice.
A couple times over the last 2 days. That's been, flipped through and poured over often. In terms of content reading, for words and story, more closely, right now I'm all in the middle of the third issue of Cliff Chiang's Catwoman Lonely City, which I'm enjoying very much, from DC, and I guess it's Black Label is the imprint. And I'm also reading for our YouTube show, subtle plug, Uncanny X-Men 119 by Chris Claremont and John Byrne and Terry Austin.
Nice. Good stuff.
Yes.
Good stuff. Well, I'm chatting with both you gentlemen because you're exhibiting at the Montreal Comic Arts Festival this year. So with that in mind, wonder if each of you could come up with a favorite past convention moment that you can share with folks.
Besides seeing you over and over.
Yeah, that doesn't count. Exclude me. Yeah.
Solid response.
Yeah.
It is always nice to see a friendly face, masked or unmasked.
Yes.
So it's been fun getting to know you over the years, for sure. And I don't mean to make light of that. It's been a pleasure.
Well, thank you kindly. Thank you.
And now your turn, Chris.
Sure, I'll give the response. So I think so many. This has been great. Jason and I are actually celebrating our 5-year. We're calling it our 5-year tour this year. Where 5 years ago we released our first comic book into the world, and so we're hitting up the 5-year anniversary tour. So we'll get those concert T-shirts with all the tour dates printed up for everybody to sell at our table. You know what? But I think some of the great stuff, and it keeps happening. It just happened. This past weekend we were part of a free comic book day event here in Guelph, Ontario, at the Dragon, and meeting people and having that interaction, that in person, which we haven't had as much of the last 2 years, is really energizing, I think, for the both of us. But some of the funny stuff is because we're kind of into this now 5 years, and because we've been pitching Group of Seven and pitching Peregrines. We've been the lines. Jason and I have the back and forth down pat. We've said the pitch line so many times of what the book's about. It was great. Even this past weekend, this has happened before. We had people say, "Well, I really want to learn more about Canadian history." And we which is great. But we kind of just chuckle because as much as we love that piece that has informed the book, we're like, yeah, man, just dive right in, monsters and secret laboratories in Canadian history. We hope you really love it. So, I mean, and really that is what one of our objectives for the book was, really to provide a gateway for conversation and discussion. So I'm glad it happened. It's now really funny because often it happens organically where people say, I've always wanted to learn more. So I think I'll just start with your book. And we're like, that's a great place to start. Our book.
Sure. Why not?
So there you go. That's been a really fun memory. And I know it happened again this past weekend. So that was fresh in my mind.
Cool. So we're here talking about MCAF, and I'm not sure if you've been to that festival before, but if not, what are you looking forward to most when you're there?
Well, we have not been. Neither of us have been either alone or together. So this is really exciting for us to go to Montreal, which is a favorite city for both of us from our civilian lives, and to meet all new creators and new readership, opportunities there, and to see also what everyone else is making. It's such a pleasure. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens. It's like a grand experiment. How do people react to this in a different region of Canada? I'm excited to figure out how this is going to play, and to see what we meet, and also for the food.
Yes, that's true. Well, it's going to be on Rue Saint Denis, which I understand there's lots of wonderful shops, restaurants, that sort of thing. That if you have time to get away from your table, I think you could duck out and grab something good. So you never know.
I think we'll make time, but also we have the nights.
There you go. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
And being outside is so much fun at an event.
And the smoked meat sandwiches are calling.
Yes, you can hear them right now.
You keep pretending we're going to have one every day.
Every day, I'm going to pop out to Schwartz's on Saint Laurent, and I'm going to come back with a lean smoked meat sandwich.
Goodness.
And a kosher dill on the side, and you are going to love me every day.
Oh, I joke that I'm not going to eat it, of course, because it's terrible for me. But I just might now that you're starting to sell me on the idea pretty well.
Well, let's get back to the subject at hand. This MCAF, you'll be showing off, and I think you mentioned it. You just touched on it. I want to ask you what you'll be showcasing at your table at the festival.
Do you want to go, Chris?
Sure, yeah. So we will have our book, Group of Seven, our graphic novel, A Most Secret Tale, which collects the first 6 issues of the Group of Seven comic series. And we are excited, as Jason was mentioning, we have never exhibited out of province. This is a brand new audience. It's the hometown of A.Y. Jackson, who's one of the characters in Group of Seven, A Most Secret Tale. So bringing A.Y. home, which should be fun. And, of course, General Curry was the deep cut here, was the chancellor of McGill University post World War II. So there you go. There's your group of 7 connections to the city of Montreal. Anyway, so that's happened. Oh, not to mention we have an entire scene in issue 2 in 1950s in Montreal. All these things are happening. We're happy to be bringing the book there. So that'll be there. Plus the first book in our latest series, Peregrines, will be available. Plus a few copies, I think, of our standalone adventure Peregrines, the obstacle course, which came out last year as well. So we'll have a few books there, maybe a few other things. We often come in tow with things for kids if they're walking around, things like maybe some mini comics might be available, or some, coloring sheets or those kinds of things. So we'll have those available. Hey, we've got back issues. And of course, then we have prints. Jason, you've been printing up a storm with your prints, not only for Group of 7 comics, but your own amazing work. Maybe you can talk about that.
With pleasure. Yeah, I've got a few fun sort of fan-focused prints to support the cause. I have some. I love corner box art. The little corner in 80s and 70s and 80s comics, especially from Marvel. The little corner box where it would say the brand of the comics and show sometimes some disembodied heads or one character in the story and the issue number and the price. I love that graphic portion of comic book covers. So I made several corner box prints, and I have a fun one from The Mandalorian and some fun Boba Fett ones. And maybe there'll be a new one in there, and we'll have to wait and see.
Okay.
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan
Just in time.
Just in time. That's right. Yeah, that's true. I hear something's coming up on May 27th. We'll have to see.
Yes. So it's right. To me, it's like the synergy is there. So yeah, Obi-Wan Kenobi as well.
Very good. Very good. Well, Jason, I want to continue with you just a wee bit. And I know I've probably asked you this before, but maybe you could just walk me through your workflow. Like what tools are you using now to create your art?
I use everything that I can to try and, get the best results, but I'm starting usually from Chris's script, adapting to some very digital sketches. And I find that from the digital, it's so quick to modify, and then the energy that I can capture in the digital sketch or like little thumbnails, I'm able to then enlarge them digitally and print them out and then draw traditionally over top until I get it the way I like it. And then traditional again, I will light box it, shine a light through the bottom, and then go straight to inks from there. So in the end, I get a nice 11 by 17 ink drawing on artboard based off of, very energetic sketches that I do that are teeny tiny, that are digital. So I'm kind of combining everything and then scanning it back into the computer, finishing the lettering that I started digitally, and then turning it into one giant PDF for print.
Oh, very good. Now, you mentioned that you've been at this for 5 years. Has the collaboration changed over the years? Certainly, it must have modified a wee bit, but how do you think that it's changed in the process of creating your Group of 7 comic book?
Chris, do you mind if I tackle this one?
Please go right ahead.
It's changed for the better in a couple ways from my point of view, for sure. The first of which is we're faster at collaborating using the digital tools at hand. I've improved what's in my arsenal, what tools I have at home in my studio, and it allows me to share visuals with Chris much faster and much more clearly and to make changes. And then also we've become much more aware of the idiosyncrasies of our collaboration, and we talk about them. And so things are, cards are on the table, and we recognize where we can improve, where we collaborate. We recognize what we're doing well, and we lean into the things that we're doing well. We talked, even just this weekend, we were talking about playing to each other's strengths and like not leaving, but not delegating either, but taking initiative at the portions of our partnership that we are most comfortable with, and how it leaves a lot of room for the other person to do what they're good at, and we don't step on toes. And I think it's the communication part. We really have become much more open in the collaboration now that we know what the taxes are. We know what happens to a person through the process, and what can stress one out and what is easy for the other, and it's just become smoother and smoother. So much so that we're willing to travel together.
It's a road trip. That might be a comic book in itself.
I think 100%.
You never know.
I was gonna say it's become far less sweaty. We're less sweaty now.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I was going to go back just to the MCAF itself, not to put you on the spot, but are there any particular artists or creators that you're looking forward to meeting or seeing their work?
There's a few. So just kind of going through the list of the folks who will be there. We're excited to see our friend Jay Stevens and Black Eye Books. I think I had that right. Yeah, Black Eye Books will be not far off us, and we really enjoy their work. And it'll be nice to kind of meet them in person, just because we've had conversations kind of through email. But and Jay is a fellow Guelphite, so it'll be fun to connect with Jay again. And then at the same time, there's a whole bunch of kind of artists or publishers that we'll encounter at places like TCAF, like Conundrum Press out of the East Coast, and a few others. And then just, I think at the same time, though, just really want to be open to, it's kind of exciting when you see a list and you don't know names, and, because that really is, provides those opportunities, avenues to get to know people. We made some friends. I hope we made them. We're still following each other on social media, so I assume they're our friends. But we had some friends from Montreal come down for a show and some awards, the Schuster Awards, a few years ago in Guelph. And so I know they've got busy lives, but looking forward to connecting with some other comic creators who we were able to from Montreal a couple years ago. Jason, anything floating your boat there?
You hit the nail on the head. Yeah. I mean, it's fun to go into an event like this and have a very open mind and sort of let the circumstances play out and see who we meet without having to come in with too many expectations. It really is a new community, and I don't know people on that list of creators, and I'm looking forward to meeting new people. Truthfully, I got to practice my French. That's what
I was
going to
say,
about.
yeah, for sure. Well, I hope you have time to get out and mingle a bit. I know that's great that we're on a street and it's open and all that stuff. But even in the evening, hopefully there'll be some events and opportunities for you to rub shoulders and exchange contacts and that sort of thing. So
I hope so
good.
too.
Yeah. So we've been talking about Group of Seven and Peregrines. I'm wondering, do you have any other up and coming projects that you can talk about?
We have a couple of things coming out quickly. I don't know, Jason. What did you want to add?
No, go ahead. I'm interested to hear what we're making.
well, Peregrines Part 2, aka Group of Seven Comics number 8, is on its way. And should be with us in the near future, which is pretty exciting. As well as likely another standalone comic, which we do with the obstacle course. It's called Peregrine's Londinium, which was our second comic creation exploration on Instagram, which we put out back in January. And so we'll look to print that as well as a kind of a limited run, a fun creative story that takes place, in the ruins of the city of London 100 years ago, and then back into thousands of years ago. And then aside from that, we are constantly talking about new stories. Maybe looking at some shorter stories that can build on the characters that we've established in the universe that we've created. At the moment, I don't know if there's much outside of the space of Group of Seven Comics, like beyond what we've created already. Everything we tend to talk about seems to be within that creative space. But who knows? Maybe the road trip will spur some more thinking into different, different genre or different creative storytelling.
Yeah, we're very open-minded about that with each other and the collaboration as to, the possibilities of telling other kinds of stories. But at the same time, the Group of Seven Comics universe that we've been playing in, that itch has yet to be scratched. We're not satisfied, and there seems to be, because of the richness of Canadian history and the figures that are in it, and then the avenues that have been opened by fictionalizing some of their lives, as well as adding new fictional characters and secret organizations and facets to the world. It seems to be an endless playground for Chris and I to dabble and explore and create.
Sounds exciting, that's for sure. So, in addition to attending MCAF, I'm wondering, do you have any plans to attend any other events this year?
Oh boy.
5th anniversary tour dates, John.
Okay.
We've got the Toronto Comic Arts Festival in the middle of June here in Toronto.
Exciting.
The weekend after that, we'll be at Gotham Central in Mississauga for their 10-year anniversary.
Wow, yeah.
And I hope I don't forget anything. In September, of course, we're going to Bethesda, Maryland for the Small Press Expo, SPX.
Nice.
For our first time. So we're doing Montreal, and then we're crossing provincial border, and then crossing federal border into the States. So those are the events that we, I think, have confirmed so far. Am I forgetting anything, Chris?
Those are the ones, and I'm going to go on a limb and say more to be confirmed.
Nice.
I believe so.
Let's put ourselves out there. Yeah.
Well, for people who want to find out about these other events that you've got planned, plus what work you have going on, what website do you recommend they go to find out more about your current and your future projects?
Say groupofsevencomics.ca, and that's the number 7. Group of Seven Comics. And we're fairly active on the socials, Instagram, Facebook, and such. And that's Group of Seven Comics is our handle, the number 7. Including that YouTube channel that Jason mentioned earlier as well, Group of Seven Comics. But yeah, the website, and then just reach out to us. I'm Chris Sanagan on the socials. And
yes, and I'm at Jason Lapidus Art on Instagram, and otherwise at Jason Lapidus on the other socials. But I think Instagram is the best way to follow. And of course, we've got that. We have a YouTube show called Previously in X-Men, where every week on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we dive into another issue of X-Men comics from the quintessential run by Chris Claremont and John Byrne to explore what made this series a classic, And the sort of the premise is that run has planted so many seeds within comicdom that every iteration of X-Men after that owe a debt of gratitude and have direct ties to that time period. So we're talking about the movies, the action figures, the cartoons, the video game, and seeing how it connects all to that run from about Giant Size X-Men #1 in 1975 through to the early 80s and then beyond. Every week live stream. This week we've got Jason Lowe on.
Yeah.
It's going to be so exciting tomorrow night. Who is currently a creator for Marvel working on X-Men Unlimited. So we've got some real live X-Men people coming on the show, which should be a blast.
Nice. Well, Chris and Jason, those are all the questions I have for you, but I'm wondering, is there something I didn't ask that you'd like to get across in this interview?
Well, you plugged the show, Jason, so that's amazing.
Smoked meat sandwiches we talked about.
We have smoked meat. We got connections of our books to Montreal. Yeah. Also, more smoked meat. Everything we're up to. We got books on the way. We talking X-Men online. I think we got it covered.
Go Leafs, go.
Go Leafs, go. Absolutely.
Thanks to Chris and Jason for the chat. You can discover more about Chris on Twitter at Chris Sanagan, and Jason is on Twitter at Jason Lapidus. You can discover more about Group of 7 on Twitter at Group of 7 Comics, and that's 7 as in the number 7, and online at groupofsevencomics.ca. And thanks to you for listening to the True North Country Comics podcast. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to and like this podcast on Apple Podcasts, and please leave a good rating. Also check out the TrueNorthCountryComics.com website and follow along on Twitter at True North Comics. True North Country Comics is now on YouTube. Please like and subscribe to that video channel. Please send your feedback to John at TrueNorthCountryComics.com. Thanks again for listening, and come back soon for another episode. Bye for now. True North Country Comics Podcast is copyright True North Country Comics, copyright 2022.